Hi there, this is Erica Koenig-Workman here, and I'm giving you an introduction to my second book that I'll be reading on my channel that's of utmost importance. And this book is The Desert Fathers. Don't know if you can see that bit of light reflecting off there. Translated and introduced by Helen Waddell. I'm going to read a small section right now from the very introduction of the foreword of the book on this particular translation, okay? So this is about the vintage spiritual classics. This is a book available through Random House Publishing, and it's a spiritual classic. And I'm just reading the what do you call this? The foreword. Okay, here we go. Just a short section here, just to introduce this book to you, okay? A turn or shift of sorts is becoming evident in the reflections of men and women today on their life experiences. Not quite as adamantly secular, and perhaps a little less insistent on material satisfactions, the reading public has recently developed a certain attraction to testimonies that human life is leavened by a presence that blesses and sanctifies. Recovery, whether from addictions or personal traumas, illness, or even painful and misalignments in human affairs, is evolving from the standard therapeutic goal of enhanced self-esteem. Many now seek a deeper healing that embraces the whole person, including the soul. Contemporary books provide accounts of the invisible assistance of angels. The laying on of hands in prayer has made an appearance at the hospital bedside. Guides for the spiritually perplexed have risen to the top of the bestseller lists. The darkest shadows of skepticism and unbelief, which have eclipsed the presence of the divine in our rational age, are beginning to lighten and part. If the power and presence of God are real and effective, what do they mean for human experience? What does he offer to men and women, and what does he ask in return? How do we recognize him, know him, respond to him? God has a reputation of being both benevolent and wrathful. Which will he be for me, and when? Can these aspects of the divine somehow be reconciled? Where is God when I suffer? Can I lose him? Is God truthful? And are his promises to be trusted? Are we really as precious to God as we are to ourselves and our loved ones? Do his providence and amazing grace guide our filtering or faltering steps toward him, even in spite of ourselves? Will God abandon us if the sin is serious enough, or if we have episodes of resistance and forgetfulness? These are fundamental questions any person might address to God during a lifetime. They are pressing and difficult, often becoming wounds in the soul of the person who yearns for the power and courage of hope, especially in stressful times. The vintage spiritual classics present the testimony of writers across the centuries who have considered all these difficulties and who have pondered the mysterious ways and unfathomable mercies and deep consolations afforded by God to those who call upon him from out of the depths of their lives. These writers, then, are our companions, even our champions in a common effort to discern the meaning of God in a personal experience. For God is personal to us. To whom does he speak if not to us, provided we have the desire to hear him deep within our hearts? Each volume opens with a specially commissioned essay by a well-known contemporary writer that offers the reader an appreciation of its intrinsic value. A chronology of the general historical context of each work is provided, as are suggestions for further reading. That's good. We always need to know more. Right? We always need to know more. Oh my goodness. We offer a final word about the act of reading these spiritual classics. From the very earliest accounts of monastic practice dating back to the 4th century, it is evident that a form of reading called lectio divina, divine or spiritual reading, was essential to any deliberate spiritual life. This kind of reading is quite different from that of scanning a text for useful facts and bits of information, or advancing along an exciting plot line to a climax in the action. It is rather a meditative approach by which the reader seeks to taste and savor the beauty and truth of every phrase and passage. This process of contemplative reading has the effect of enkindling in the reader compunction for past behavior that has been less than beautiful and true. At the same time, it increases the desire to seek a realm where all that is lovely and unspoiled may be found. There are 4 steps in Lectio Divina. First, to read. Next, to meditate. Then, to rest in the sense of God's nearness. And ultimately, to resolve to govern one's actions in the light of new understanding. This kind of reading is itself an act of prayer. And indeed, it is in prayer that God manifests his presence to us. So, again, this is just an introduction to this wonderful, lovely book called The Desert Fathers, which I will also be reading on my channel. Thank you very much for joining me today and for listening and being interested in these readings and for coming alongside me and reading and listening with me. See you again next time.